This is kind of awkward, but I really like No Man's Sky. Now this past week I've clocked around 60 hours in the game and it's all I want to play currently. It's really rare that this happens for me. I don't get bored of it, I think about it when I'm not playing it, and I just can't wait to get back to it. So what the hell is going on? Well, No Man's Sky received the Foundation update, and then it received the Pathfinder update, and then the Atlas Rises update, and now most recently, the next update. I hadn't played any of these before, or played the game since it came out 2 years ago, and to be honest, I know this is practically an internet hate crime to say, I actually thought it was an okay game at launch. It didn't at all feel like a $60 game, and it wasn't as advertised, but it was still, for me, a kind of a fun, exploration-y, experience, and for whatever reason, I was just kind of okay with that. Now, people have covered this to death, how No Man's Sky was marketed, how their game director lied and oversold the game, and don't get me wrong, I'm with you, and it's not something I've forgotten. But Hello Games aren't some mega corporation. Nobody's really going to benefit if they were to close down or go bankrupt, so I do feel that No Man's Sky is worth another look, and I'm happy that they're continuing to support the game. And for me at least, my game just sat in my Steam library gathering virtual dust for 2 years, and now thanks to the updates, I've finally gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it. So preamble out of the way, what's new? What's different? And what is the game? That was a big issue with No Man's Sky. People didn't know what you did in the game, and it turned out you kinda did nothing. Well, from my time with it, No Man's Sky is now essentially a more mature space Minecraft. It's a basically infinite, procedurally generated game where you gather resources and refine them to get better gear. It doesn't really have the building and creativity that Minecraft has, but it does have base building on the level of something like Subnautica. It's got biomes, weird creatures, hostile enemies, vehicles, farming, exploration above and below ground, and unlike Minecraft, it does actually have a story and some lore, with multiple storylines to follow and quests to complete. Now it's also got true multiplayer. It's got 4-player co-op, or PvP I suppose, and we'll talk about how all that works just a little bit later. So for the rest of this video, I'll be taking you on my journey through the game so far. I want to share with you what I've been doing, what I've seen, and some of the encounters that I've had, and that you could have too. I'll be avoiding story spoilers, but environments and things of that nature will be spoiled in this video, so if you want to go in blank, I recommend it, get it, and then watch the video later maybe. So let's start from the beginning. Everyone starts No Man's Sky the same way. You awake on an unknown world in an unexplored part of the galaxy, your ship is missing and your equipment is damaged. You have to gather resources and you need to repair your equipment individually. First off repairing your suit, then replenishing your life support, then repairing your visor so you can locate your ship. Then you need to repair your ship and dabble in the first bits of crafting to create launch fuel so your ship can take off. Now almost everything in No Man's Sky needs to be powered. Your ship alone needs 3 types of fuel. It needs launch fuel to take off from the ground, it needs pulse fuel to travel at high speed, and it needs warp fuel to jump to different systems. At the beginning of the game, this can be pretty punishing. Gathering what's needed can take a lot of time, and learning the elements can be a bit overwhelming at first. Couple that with the need for oxygen in your suit, and the need for hazard protection in harsh environments, and you've got a lot thrown your way in the first hour. But after an hour or two, you'll get upgrades that reduce those fuel costs, and bank enough that you won't really need to worry about it too much. I do think the pacing of the game at this point is way too slow and grindy. You're sitting around mining trees and rocks just so you can explore, and this isn't No Man's Sky's strongest feature. But once you're in your ship and you're flying around, the game really does open up dramatically. It's at this point that the game's story really starts to kick in, and lends a guiding hand for you to travel to other planets and systems as you uncover new characters to talk to and quest lines to follow. One quest line is also a sort of upgrade feature that you can periodically visit and receive new technology and turn in your progress. Scanning the systems while this quest is active will warp a giant orb into view, which you can dock inside of and talk to a Gek named Polo and his Korvax scientist. They'll progress some story and give you technology that'll make your life a little bit easier. Now the Gek and the Korvax, as well as the Vy'keen, are the 3 primary species that dominate the galaxy. Most systems, but not all of them, will have a space station in them, where these life forms will gather and trade. You can talk to them to get information, location data, do quests, and learn their languages. This raises and lowers your standing with the species based on your dialogue with them, and the higher your standing, the more rewarding missions you can do and the more options available to you from them. You can of course attack them in space, destroy their cargo holds and steal from their freighters in order to make quick cash, and this will obviously lower your standing. Once you start making some money and start visiting new systems, you'll eventually come across a fleet of freighters and space battles. Space battles are kind of fun, but they're pretty small with just a few handful of ships and an AI that honestly just isn't a great shot. But if you do good, you can take control of a freighter yourself. Freighters allow you to store items inside them, and they also reduce the system warp cost just to 20%. This then becomes your first taste of base building. Freighters can be expanded inside them with new rooms and machines, which can then be set up to refine items. These refinements are usually stronger components that last longer when refueling things like your mining laser or whatever else. A room that's basically necessary is a fleet command room. This allows you to carry out freighter expeditions. Now when flying around, you'll come across frigates, large ships that accompany and protect freighters, and you can purchase these and assign them to the expeditions. They have specialities, experience levels, and traits which determine the outcome and the cost of the expeditions, and over time, they'll get better and stronger. Now expeditions occur in real time, so they might take around 2 hours at times, but if you close your game and you come back, the expedition will have completed. This is to sort of simulate a persistent galaxy. No Man's Sky is not a persistent galaxy, and other players won't see your expedition, but it does make it feel more real in my opinion, and definitely adds to the immersion. When frigates return, they'll bring back some money and some items that you can use or sell. And occasionally, if you take on a challenging mission, they might take damage and be in need of repairs, or get destroyed completely. Now repairing frigates is something that I really enjoy. It feels like a mini kind of Dead Space. You're walking around a ship, looking for damaged components, restarting engines and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So with a freighter online, frigates bringing in money, and a few missions here and there, it's time to look for a planet that you can settle down on and build a base. This can take a while if you're picky like me. I wanted to find a nice climate with good resources, but also a system with a lot of other planets in it, and I found a pretty perfect system. It was called Dabandu, and I left the name as it was. The planets inside, I gave them more unique names, and the animals and plants I found I also named. Uploading these names allows other players to come across them. The servers right now are a little bit patchy, but after a while typically it does show up for people. With 18 quintillion planets, that's 18 followed by 18 zeros, you'd think that nobody would ever find your stuff. Well, we know that not to be technically totally true, but it's still pretty rare. But now with the ability to join friends and random people, they can establish a connection to you and even visit you when you're not there, through teleportation gates. I can't honestly say there's much reason to do it, but at least now you can. So I found my perfect little world and established a base on the coast. I set up some rudimentary machines to get things refining and started building dome after dome and digging out the mountains around me for underground storage. I then recruited an overseer into my base, followed by a weapons manufacturer, a farmer, a vehicle guy, and a scientist. These arrive through various quests, and once you get them in, they'll give you crafting blueprints you need to start making more complex items. The scientist's quests in particular were great, and honestly kind of sad. These items can be further refined into trade goods, which can then be sold for cash. The vehicle dude will supply you with an exocraft that you can use to drive around your planet and harvest resources without even having to get out. There's multiple vehicles that you can end up getting, but I just haven't got that far yet. Now while working on my base, I was visited by my friends, and we worked together for a while collecting what we needed, and then we split the profits. The system I chose was pretty good because it had an ice world, a hot world, a toxic world, and then my own world. These various biomes then provided different common elements needed to forge most of these complicated items. The great thing about the co-op experience is that you can just join someone else's game and then take what you find back to your own game. The instancing is a little bit weird. It's not technically a shared world, but they're trying to give that impression, though in reality you are just joining someone else's game, and right now at least, it can be pretty buggy affair when it comes to saving your progress and affecting the landscape as a group. So what are we going to do with all this money? Well, once you start earning a good amount, you can just buy the resources you need to build and improve technology instead of having to mine it. And you can also look to buy a new ship or a new freighter or a new weapon. And these are procedurally generated, so you're always kind of on the lookout for something cooler, bigger, and better. These can cost millions, and you're buying them primarily for the storage space. More storage means you can make more complex items later on, and you can hold on to them for longer until you find a system with a good price for them. Storage also fits upgrade modules, and upgrades let you do more things. Now for instance, upgrading your starship's hyperdrive will allow you to visit different types of star systems, and the more advanced the star system, the more radical the planets there become, with extreme conditions and weird biomes such as deleted planets and dead moons. These are really fantastic to explore, and I genuinely had a sense of awe and wonder arriving on one of the first ones when I was joined by a friend. We landed in a weird, bleak landscape with pockets of blue light emanating from the ground, with giant machinery around us and lost temples. It was super cool. Planet exploration mostly entails looking for elements and soaking in the views, but there are also unique resources to find, buildings with story elements and quest items inside them. There's traders, resource depots, transmission towers, temples, ancient ruins, monoliths, and portals. I'll never forget finding my first ruin. I dug up a key, and I didn't know what the hell it was or what to do with it. Then little by little I just happened to be finding more and found a buried lockbox eventually that the keys were needed for it to open. It happened totally organically, and I felt like I was solving a puzzle that someone else had left for me. Inside I found an object worth 500,000 units, and my standing with one of the species rose, so it was a fun little experience. Now when you're tired or bored of all the planet hopping, base building and space battles, you can just go back to the story and work toward getting to the center of the galaxy. As well as that, there's a new 30-hour quest line with Artemis and the Atlas. I progressed quite a bit through that, and it took me through my first portal, which was a very weird experience, with creepy music and alien hostile animals chasing me to my ship. The story is good so far, albeit really vague, but it does have its moments, and I keep getting quite immersed in it. As an exploration game, No Man's Sky is all about the first time you see and experience something. The first temple I found, the first Atlas station I entered, the first space battle I had. The first of all these events are the most memorable experiences, and eventually some of it does become busy work, and it can become grindy if you let it, but I would always suggest moving the story forward before you grind anything. The pacing will give you what you need if you progress quests rather than just sit on a planet mining for hours. And that's really it for my experiences with No Man's Sky so far. Like I said, I'm 60 hours in, probably only halfway through the story, hoping to buy some big freighters and find a few more weird creatures on interesting worlds. The game's still not perfect. There's quite a few new bugs that Hello Games are trying to patch every other week, and there's certainly a few questionable design decisions, especially when it comes to the Sentinels that protect planets and why they attack you and how. But playing with a friend can be quite fun. I do think that this is one of the best chill out experiences since Minecraft. And if you're interested in sci-fi and space, there's a ton of stuff to do, and with farming and expeditions occurring in real time, I always want to check back each day to see how the game has progressed while I wasn't there. It's really great, and I can't wait for the next update now. Not next, but the one after this one. And at the end of the day, it's still primarily an exploration game. If you're exploring and you're doing quests, there's not much to do in co-op apart from a few easy quests, so if you're not into exploration and crafting, there's basically no game for you. But if you like sci-fi and you want to just get immersed in a world and see some cool stuff, then it's really, really good. Now before I go, I wanted to mention that I'm affiliated with cdkeys.com. The game is on there for 30% off right now. I highly recommend you make an account and check out some of the deals that they have. The longer you leave it, the more the prices will go up due to high demand, so you gotta be quick. Games on there are extremely heavily discounted, and for me at least they're a trusted site that I've used for years, and many people in the Republic are using without any issue. It's basically a way to get big discounts and support a small YouTuber in the process. The link to it will be in the description. So that's it for the video. I'm going to leave you now with some screenshots that I took of my journey, and some cheesy but very good No Man's Sky music. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.